Hello. So I am back today in this video to talk to you further about the course Embodying Your Sacred Sexuality via Shamanic Work, the Shamanic Journey. So I want to talk a little bit today about why I even do this work. Like, who am I to guide you through this? Because this is deep work, it's sacred work, it's work that brings us into traumas. It's a work that brings us into difficulties and things that are stored somatically in our bodies. So why trust me to guide you through this womb work? Why work with me? And that's what I want to talk to you about today, because it's so important to understand where I'm coming from with this and why I do this. So the womb work I do is truly the most beloved part of my shamanic work for me, of the healing work I do, of the trauma work I do, of the journey work that I do in my shamanic practice. Truly, the womb work is the nearest and dearest to my heart. It is the most beloved part of this work for me. I love it because it has changed my life so much. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about my story. Just going to give you a little warning that this could be triggering for some. We are talking about the womb, so we're talking about sexuality as well. They're one and the same. So my story, the reason I do womb work is because I had to decide to, really. I have a lot of trauma in my past. I have assault trauma in my past. I have childhood sexual trauma in my past. Um, and it really disconnected me from my womb space. I was disconnected from pleasure. I had enormous pain with any kind of sexual activity. Like, I couldn't connect to partners because I was in so much pain. And I really just felt, honestly, I felt broken in my womb space. I felt broken in my sexual expression. And I kind of had a point where I was like, okay, I have to either figure this out and learn how to heal this, um, or I don't know what I'm gonna do. Like, I don't know how to connect to this part of myself. Like, I went to doctors, I like went to therapy, and like the doctors didn't really help at all. Therapy did help to start talking through things, but it just wasn't getting deep enough. And when I did my shamanic training and started doing shamanic work for, like, obviously first for myself and then for clients, it just got clearer and clearer to me how important the womb and working with our sexual energy is. It was like I couldn't stop seeing it pop up everywhere, honestly. So I started studying it. I started journeying with the womb. I started bringing my shamanic training into the womb work that I was remembering intuiting myself. I spend a lot of time journeying to ancient times where um, womb priestesses, womb shamanesses, um, where their knowledge is stored. I go work in those spaces in shamanic journey space, in multidimensional space. I have taken, like, received so much information from these places, connected into like my own past lives with it, um, and really learned how to get into my womb space. And therefore, I've learned how to teach this to others, but it started with me, right? Get into my womb space, work through what was there, all the trauma that was there, all the difficulties that were there, um, all the ancestral stuff, current life, ancestral, past life, collective, everything that was held in my womb. I learned how to work with it and love it and release it out and bring in pleasure to take the place of the pain. So instead of pain, now my womb space is this like ecstatic, pleasurable place. It feels incredible to connect into. It's just juicy and turned on in the best way possible, like so much energy, right? And I went to that from pain constantly, and disconnection and fear of my womb space, because, like, what am I gonna find there? And I did the womb shamanic work to move through this, and then I had a huge test come in, and that this happened over the summer. And the only reason I use test for this is because this experience really brought me into an even deeper embodiment of my shamanic work. I had a really traumatic, um, incredibly horrible assault that happened, a sexual assault that happened over the summer, um, about almost 4.5 months ago. And it broke me in a way that no other sexual trauma I'd ever experienced had. Um, it was the most devastating thing I've ever experienced. It was truly awful. And it tested all of my womb work. It was beautiful because that testing showed me, oh yeah, my past traumas are not resurfacing because they're healed. Like I've worked through them. They're healed. They're not resurfacing even with the new trauma. But so many other things did surface. And I had to work through this devastating trauma that I knew I like had a knowing as I was working through it of like, if I didn't have this work, this would probably derail my life for a few years, like how traumatic this was. And um, because I could feel that timeline, I was like, I could go into that so easily. And yet I knew I had this work. I knew how to work with my womb. And so I just deepened even deeper, deepened even more into my womb shamanic journeying, deepened even more into everything I'd already healed in my womb space, and started working through all of the new pain and invasion and trauma and um, everything that was in there so that I could see it and feel it and acknowledge it, and then use the journey work to release it. Bring in pleasure to release that pain. And that's what I did. And it was, God, it was hard. Honestly, I can't pretend like it wasn't. It was really hard. Um, it was difficult and it was painful. And it was also full of ecstasy. It was full of pleasure because sometimes the pain was so overwhelming working with my womb in this way, this really fresh experience, that I couldn't do anything. I would like literally spend my days just there are days I would spend just sitting with my womb and crying. But then after I was able to move through those layers, I would spend days with my womb working in these beautiful, pleasurable, shamanic, ecstatic ways and feel joy and some of the deepest pleasure I've ever felt in my entire life, some of the deepest orgasmic energy I've ever experienced in my entire life came from working through that pain and trauma. And it's the wildest dichotomy, honestly. like um the worst experience that I've ever had brought me into the greatest expression of power and sexuality and energy and womb embodiment in my body and then in my shamanic work that I have ever experienced, um, in the most beautiful, incredible way. And again, it wasn't easy, but it was so worth it. And I love to hold this space and teach this to others because our womb is our everything. It is our center. And every single person deserves to feel such deep connection and love in their womb space. And that's truly what I want for everyone, to feel like the waves of pleasure that can ripple through the womb. And that's where my womb is now. Like truly I went from such deep pain to now my womb, like when I tune into it, it's like it's the most intensely pleasurable, full of creation, full of manifestation energy I've ever felt in my life in my womb space. It's out of this world, truly. And I really want that to be something that every person, every woman who has everyone who has a womb, everyone who has a sacred womb space. Like, we're so blessed to have a womb in our body. It's a divine reflection, a divine mirror of the cosmos. It's incredible. And when we do the womb work, we get this like incredible appreciation for the womb space and for everything that she's carried and what we can now release from it to create the deepest waves of ecstasy and bliss that we've ever felt in our lives. And that's what we're doing here. That's what we're doing with this course, Embody Your Sacred Sexuality, the shamanic journey to embodying it. We will be sitting together in group in a sacred circle, working through the womb and seeing what's held there, acknowledging it, witnessing it, and using shamanic techniques and journeys to release it. We will be creating beautiful connection between our masculine and feminine. We will be creating safety in our bodies. We will be creating beautiful, pleasurable practices to connect into that womb, because womb work, it's also sacred orgasm work. It's also sacred pleasure work. It's yoni work. It is breath work. It's everything. And we're going to bring all of it in. And this is an 8-week course. We do 7 group sessions. There's 1 integration week. And you get 2 one-on-one sessions with me, plus access to my mystery school, which has so much in it for you to consume and learn from and heal with outside of our group sessions. And you get that for 6 months. Plus, I have an early bird special going on right now. So if you sign up with the early bird, you get a discount and you get an extra one-on-one with me. So, I want to invite you to join me on this sacred, beautiful, incredibly powerful journey into your womb space. This is the most sacred, the most powerful, the most gorgeous, needed, beautiful energy, our womb energy. It is our creation energy. It is our life force energy. And in this journey, I'm going to teach you how to use that all the time so that it is part of your life in the most beautiful, embodied, loving ways. So I'd love for you to join me. The link to join will be in the description box below. And if you feel resonance with my story, what I shared in this video, and it's just a short snippet of it, but if you feel resonance with it and you feel like this is something that would serve you and benefit you, I invite you to truly invite you to feel into your heart and your womb. Even like put your hand on your womb and ask your womb, is this for me right now? And if you get a yes, if you get a knowing, if you feel a pull to this, I want to invite you to really follow that. Because if you're feeling the resonance and the connection, then this is for you. And I ask you to trust your womb if she's telling you that this work is something she wants to do. And I promise that you will be held in the safest, most sacred space absolutely possible. And with that, thank you for sharing this energetic space with me, because being here, sharing space as you watch this video is a form of energetic transmission, connection. And from my heart to yours, sending you so many blessings. Have a beautiful day, my friend.